Well, I am joined now by the Conservative MP Marco Longhi. Marco, thank you very much for entering the fray. Are you on a little bit of a sticky wicket here, whereby either Brexit has failed and we now have a Labour shortage, or your party has no intention of bringing down net migration?
Sorry, Patrick, could you repeat the question? I think I lost you just when you asked it.
That's all right. So are you on a little bit of a sticky wicket here, in the sense that it could be argued that Brexit has failed and therefore we have a Labour shortage, or the government has no intention of bringing down net migration? What would your views on that be?
Well, I think the whole point of Brexit was in order to reshape our economy and wean the whole economy off this cheap alternative, which is to import cheap labour. And, you know, we've always argued how the country has had very low productivity rates. Well, guess what? If we don't invest in training and in skills for the future and actually pay these jobs a better wage, then British people aren't going to be applying for them. And then naturally, business will start shouting and saying, oh, we haven't got enough people here. And government's response is to carry on bringing people in. We are on a vicious circle that needs to be broken. Brexit gave us that opportunity, and that's what we should be doing. And by the way, I profoundly disagree with Philip Hammond, because I don't think he is telling the whole picture here. Because if you bring in so many extra people into the country, that in and of itself has inflationary pressures, because it's greater demand on services, greater demand on products, greater demand on energy. And when you keep putting greater demand, it's that whole equation, demand and supply, prices stay higher. So I don't agree that it's purely deflationary to bring people in.
Well, also in terms of the housing crisis, I mean, they say, oh, we need to bring a load of people in to build all the houses because of the housing crisis, but then those people have to live somewhere, and that seems rather self-defeating, if you ask me. How would you respond to people who say British workers are lazy, they don't want to do these jobs?
I disagree with them. I mean, of course, we do have several people on our welfare system that should be encouraged to break that cycle they're in at the moment, which is to stay on welfare. And of course, these people should be offered more incentives to join the world of work. Many of these come from areas where for generation and after generation, they have not been offered the...
Oh, we might have lost Marco there. But I will try and get him back. I'm sure he will pop back up in just a second. But yes, so I think Marco is actually back with us. Good stuff. Yes, I didn't have to do my Marco Polo game there. Marco, good stuff. So you were just saying, yes, about inflationary pressures, but also that British workers aren't lazy.
They are not lazy. No, they are not lazy. We need to offer better training, better pay, and these people will be coming out to work. But we also need to make sure that we incentivise people who are not in education, training and employment to actually come out and work as well.
Yeah, and I think this will be a devastating blow to a lot of working class Brits who might be looking to work in that sector where it's, you know, low to medium pay, who are thinking, well, maybe I voted Conservative. You know, I'm a working class Tory. I voted Conservative at the last general election. I wanted people to stand up for British workers' rights. I couldn't vote for Jeremy Corbyn. I didn't want to vote Labour. I wanted to vote for good, patriotic Conservatives. And then they see that someone coming in, not even from the European Union now, but parts of Africa or India, say, to come and deliberately undercut their jobs. And that, I imagine, is a massive slap in the face.
Of course it's a slap in the face. And what migration has done has kept wages artificially low. So why would you want to join something that's going to pay you lower rates? I have the benefit of having travelled far and wide, and I can tell you that if you wanted to employ a plumber, a builder, an engineer of sorts, these are really well-respected areas of work, and they are paid more than they are paid here in the United Kingdom. So all we are constantly doing is going to areas where wages are currently lower and where the welfare state isn't as good. We import that cheap labour, and then what do? We don't keep to our manifesto promises in doing so by using spurious arguments around inflation. This is the wrong thing to do. We need to invest in technology, in skills, in training, make sure that employers come forward. We need to also look at what our universities are producing as well, because we've had that whole debate recently, which I do welcome the Prime Minister coming forward with, which is that universities producing students with degrees that are absolutely worthless. So they come out of education with this expectation of work that doesn't exist, and they've not had the opportunity, in other words, get their hands dirty, experience what real life is all about as a stepping stone perhaps to something else.
Yeah, and look, I agree with a huge amount of what you've just said there. No doubt a lot of our viewers and listeners will. But you are, unfortunately, Marco, in the position where your party is in power and has actually been in power for a heck of a long time now, which, therefore, in a way, unfortunately, makes everything your fault. So why have we now not got a situation where British employers have got any incentive whatsoever? As far as I can see, British employers have no incentive at all to train British and pay them well. We can't keep saying that that's our ambition, but then enacting policies that completely undercut that.
OK, so I did miss a big chunk of what you said because my screen has been freezing, and I apologise for that if it's my fault. I know you and I agree on pretty much everything here, Patrick. You're right. Employers do have this incentive to shop overseas. It's something that we need to move away from. We need to look at the apprenticeship levy. Fundamentally, I'm a massive supporter of apprenticeships, but I don't think it's working as well as it should.
OK. Look, you know what? We've tried with Marco. We will leave it there. But, Marco, thank you very, very much. It's Marco Longhi there, the Conservative MP. I think we got a heck of a lot out of that, to be perfectly honest with you. But, unfortunately, really, there's not really too much of a way around the idea that it's all very well and good saying, look, we want to reduce net migration to this amount, and then consistently not doing that and setting record after record after record. It's all very well and good saying, look, we want to incentivise British employers and British companies to employ British. We want people to get apprenticeships. But then, simultaneously, enacting a policy that allows them to pay somebody 20% less if they come over here. They can also pay for their visa application for them, which is going down in value. And in some cases, you can invite people in to fill jobs the way you can pay them as little as around £14,500 a year. I would also politely suggest that if somebody is trying to come and live in this country on their own in £14,500 a year, and we know that a lot of people are actively trying to come to London, so not necessarily move to places, you know, up north like Bury, etc. Well, how are you going to live on that? Does the state then have to pay for that as well? So what is the net benefit to the British taxpayer? I can't help but feel as though we are just being lied to. All of this rhetoric about we want to bring everything down, we want to try and bring everything down, we want to back British workers. We have had a golden opportunity to do that since we voted for Brexit, and you have to hold your hands up and say, frankly, the opposite is happening. And what about the startling lack of creativity? Startling lack of creativity. Is there only one solution to anything, and that is more migration? gbviews@gbnews.com, get them coming in. But loads more on this on our website. Go to gbnews.com. It is the fastest growing national news site in the country. It's got all the best analysis, big opinion, and, of course, the latest breaking news. And if breaking news happens, it tends to happen in this time slot. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. But